Hello, friends, and welcome to Adventures in Pixieland. My name's Amy, and I'm an ordained minister. We are in Bible study. We are in the Niv, and we are in the Book of Deuteronomy. We are going to do the whole chapter, and it is quite long, so we're just going to jump right in. Obedience commanded. Hear now, O Israel, the decrees and the laws I am about to teach you. Follow them so that you may live and go in and take possession of the land the Lord, the God of your fathers, is giving you. Do not add to what I command you, and do not subtract from it, but keep the commands of the Lord your God that I give you. You saw with your own eyes what the Lord did at Baal Peor. That's going to be B-A-A-L. A lot of people say it Baal, but as I recently learned in a language class, that it's actually Baal. So, Baal Peor. The Lord your God destroyed from among you everyone who followed the Baal of Peor. But all of you who held fast to the Lord your God are still alive today, reminding them that if they worship another deity, they will be killed. See, I have taught you decrees and laws as the Lord my God commanded me, so that you may follow them in the land you are entering to take possession of it. Observe them carefully, for this will show your wisdom and understanding to the nations, who will hear about these decrees and laws and say, surely this great nation is wise and understanding people. What other nation is so great as to have their gods near them the way the Lord our God is near us whenever we pray to him? And what other nation is as great as us to have such righteous decrees and laws as this body of laws I am setting before you today? Wow. That's a lot of ego, in my opinion, and a little bit different than how it was put before. And so, it was all about God's commandments and obeying God, and not about that making Israel awesome. Only be careful and watch yourselves closely, so that you do not forget the things your eyes have seen, or let them slip from your hearts as long as you live. Now that's valid. Teach them to your children and to their children after them. Remember the day you stood before the Lord your God at Horeb, when he said to me, assemble the people before me to hear my words, so that they may learn to revere me as long as they live in the land, and may teach it to their children. Also valid. You came near and stood at the foot of the mountain while it blazed with fire to the very heavens, with black clouds and deep darkness. Then the Lord spoke to you out of the fire. You heard the sound of words, but saw no form. There was only a voice. He declared to you his covenant, the 10 Commandments, which he commanded you to follow, and then wrote them on 2 stone tablets. And the Lord directed me at the time to teach the decrees and laws you are to follow in the land that you are crossing the Jordan to possess. Now, you have to bear with me a hot second, because I need to take off my little sweater vest right here. Just getting a little warm. So, I will say that, that is pretty consistent with, the Book of Numbers. About the obedience, and a good time to remind that these mountains that they're talking about have a bunch of salt. There's salt mountains around there, and there's these pockets of natural gas. And anything striking hard enough Like, you know, just all the same dangers that you get to see in the movies when somebody like breaks the gas line and the whole house is filling up with gas, and now any spark can make everything explode. So is true of the pockets of natural gas that come up in a whiff if there was anything around them to make any sparks. And this isn't maybe these things are there. Suppose they're there. Geologists have confirmed these things are there. It's just, you know, known about the area. So it makes the things that they're saying that they see suddenly much more understandable, because they're totally, you know, possible. Totally plausible. They can, you know, scientifically and archaeologically now explain Sodom and Gomorrah and Abraham seeing a giant ball of like fire and things. Because this is also pockets of natural gas underneath mountains of salt, easily sparkable in a place that has fault lines on either side of the Jordan River. A lot of it becomes plausible then, doesn't it? Idolatry forbidden. Verse 15, we start with here. You saw no form of any kind the day the Lord spoke to you at Horeb out of the fire. Therefore, watch yourselves very carefully so that you do not become corrupt and make for yourselves an idol, an image of any shape, whether formed like man or a woman, or any animal on earth, or any birds that fly in the air, or like any creature that moves along the ground, or any fish in the waters below. And when you look up the sky and you see the sun, the moon, and the stars, all the heavenly array, do not be enticed to bow down to them and worship things the Lord your God has apportioned to all the nations under heaven. Like, don't worship the things I made, or the things that you make out of the things that I made. That's not what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be worshiping the one who made them, the living God. But as for you, the Lord took you and brought you out of the iron smelting furnace, out of Egypt, out of Egypt to be the people of his inheritance, as you are now. The Lord was angry with me because of you, and he solemnly swore that I would not cross the Jordan and enter the good land the Lord your God is giving you as an inheritance. That's not true. Moses, like Aaron, claimed water from the rock. Instead of it being about the glory of God, and God has heard, because they got to an area and there was no water. There's 1 million people and livestock and there's no water. That's a giant problem. God was like, legits. Their complaints are legits. They're a little arrogant, but their complaints are, get the staff, go over there, hit the rock, and there'll be water. Go do it. And instead of going, I have talked to the Lord our God, and he has, blessed us with this sign of this miracle, and let me show you how much he loves you. No, it was all full of, I never have to stop hearing your people's complaints. Do we have to do everything for you? Aaron also got brought up to the top there, had the vest taken off of him, and dropped dead like that for this same act. For Moses, it was a case of, you will not go into the land. Only these two people, only Caleb and Joshua. They needed to have a complete turnover in stuff. I will die in this land. I will not cross the Jordan. That part is true. But you are about to cross over and take possession of that good land. Be careful not to forget the covenant of the Lord your God that he made with you. Do not make yourselves an idol in the form of anything the Lord your God is forbidden. For the Lord your God is a consuming fire, a jealous God. After you have had children and grandchildren and have lived in the land a long time, if you then become corrupt and make any kind of idol, doing evil in the eyes of the Lord your God, and provoking him to anger, I call heaven and earth as a witness against you this day, that you will quickly perish from the land that you are crossing the Jordan to possess. You will not live there long, but will certainly be destroyed. So I let it be on record that I warned you before you went over there. Don't you be making any idols like you wanted. It's like, imagine, right before you get out of the car and you gotta go into the store with your parents. So Generation Xer like me, you ain't getting nothing. Don't ask for nothing. I don't want to. It's got that kind of vibe. The Lord will scatter you among the people, and only a few of you will survive among the nations to the world to which the Lord will drive you. Now that this is true, the Assyrian and Babylonian exile. That's what we call that. There you will worship man-made gods of wood and stone, which cannot see or hear or eat or smell. But if from there you seek the Lord your God, you will find him if you look for him with all your heart and with all your soul, what some of them do. That's how come he identified the line of Zadok as being good, like the ones who were allowed to continue to be priests. Because in exile, the line of Zadok, sought him. Even in exile. When you are in distress and all these things have happened to you, then in later days you will return to the Lord your God and obey him. For the Lord your God is a merciful God. He will not abandon you or destroy you or forget the covenant with your forefathers, which he confirmed to them by oath. So if you return to God, God returns to you. And that, lasts today, actually. The Lord is God. Ask now about the former days, long before your time. From the day God created man on earth, ask from one end of the heavens to the other. Has anything so great as this ever happened? Has anything like it ever been heard of? Has any other people heard the voice of God? A God, depending what version, speaking out of fire, as you have, and lived. Has any God ever tried to take for himself one nation out of another nation, by testings, by miraculous signs, and by wonders, by war, by a mighty hand and an outstretched arm, or by great and awesome deeds, like all the things the Lord your God did for you in Egypt before your very eyes? Like, how can you think some other God? If you want to even call him a God, I'm not even comfortable with that. That's not usually how it's usually air quotes. How are you going to claim something else? Even if you wanted to believe in multi-gods, how are you going to claim some other God better than this one? Is basically what he's saying. What other one has ever been nicer to you? What have those statues ever done for you? Basically. You were shown these things so that you might know that the Lord is God. Beside him, there is no other. From heaven, he made you hear his voice to discipline you. On earth, he showed you his great fire, and you heard his words from out of the fire. Because he loved your forefathers and chose their descendants after them. He brought you out of Egypt by his presence and by his great strength, to drive out before you nations greater and stronger than you, to bring you into their land and to give it to you for your inheritance as it is today. Acknowledge and take heart this day that the Lord is God in heaven above and on earth below. There is no other. Keep his decrees and commands, which I am giving you today, so that it may go well with you and your children after you, and that may live long in the land the Lord your God gives you for all time. So, See, there is no other God. He really won't take or tolerate. See, like, he's not going to share your devotion. Same way that, most married couples don't want to share their romantic partner. Right? It's a covenant. Covenant, it's a commitment. That's what it is. It's like a binding contract. You shall have no other gods, other than. It says before. It really should say other than. Cities of refuge. I think it's just he was leaving it open for the Son and the Holy Spirit. So, because, the Holy Spirit and Jesus worship the Almighty. So, it's all the same. Cities of refuge. Then Moses set aside 3 cities east of the Jordan, to which anyone who had killed a person could flee if he had unintentionally killed his neighbor without malice, aforethought. Without malice, aforethought. Okay, it's a weird way to word that to me. He could. I understand what they mean. Without intention of malice. He could flee into these cities and save his life. The cities were these: Bezer in the desert plateau for the Reubenites, Ramoth in Gilead for the Gadites, and Golan in Bashan for the Manassanites. So, manslaughter. Places where if you were accused of manslaughter. Because remember, in this culture, if you even accidentally killed somebody, and their ancestor, one shouldn't really say their ancestor, because it's usually people who've already passed, but if their relative has a problem with that death, they have the right to kill you. Like, just find you and kill you. If they ever run into you, they have the right to kill you. You have to go into these cities of refuge, and you can never leave. Because if you ever leave, and they ever encounter you, and they kill you, they know nothing happens to them. Because remember, this is not a time when it's like, not a lot of police forces, you got military, but you don't have police forces, you don't have jails, you do have judges. They have a system in here, usually has to do with fines. If it's not fines, it usually is death. Because there's no prison system. Okay. Now you know why we have prison systems now. Okay. Introduction to the law. This is the law Moses set before the Israelites. These are the stipulation, decrees, and laws Moses gave them when they came out of Egypt and were in the valley near Beth Peor, east of the Jordan, in the land of Sihon, king of the Amorites, who reigned in Heshbon and was defeated by Moses and the Israelites as they came out of Egypt. They took possession of his land and the land of Og, king of Bashan, and 2 Amorites, kings east of the Jordan. The land extended from, I can't pronounce this name, Aroer, Aroeri, on the rim of the Arnon Gorge to Mount Sion, Sion, Hebrew Syrian, Sirion. That is Hermon, and included all of the Arabah, or Arabah, I don't know if it, Arabara, I don't know, Arabah, east of the Jordan, as far as the Sea of the Arabah, or that is the Dead Sea, so it'd be the Salt Sea. Oh, right, because that's the word for salt. I looked that up at one point. I'm not good at pronouncing it. Below the slopes of the Pisgah, Pisgah, Pisgah. There you go. I know it's a long one, so I won't keep you any longer. Until the next video, friends. Hello, friends, and welcome to Adventures in Pixieland. We are in Bible study. We are in the Niv, and people are still going to need to stop being emotional. Come back in 2026. We'll begin the KJV. If you're interested in the modern translations of the Proverbs from the KJV, they are available right now on the Facebook page with the same name as this YouTube channel. We're going to be doing, in this video, chapter 6, verses 1 through 26. So let's jump in. The Lord of the Sabbath. One Sabbath. Jesus was going through the grain fields, and his disciples began to pick some heads of grain and rub them in their hands and eat the kernels. So they were, breaking it up so they could get at the food part. Some of the Pharisees asked, "Why are you doing what is unlawful on the Sabbath?" Because you're not supposed to work. So, you're not even allowed to cook to feed yourself. Because, because remember, these are people who, if they tell you that you're sinning, you have to go to their place and give them things. And this is how they make their money. So they're running around looking for reasons for people to have to give them money. Not stopping people from sinning, because they're paying attention to the letter, not the intention. And they'll get reminded that you can't trick Jesus. Jesus answered them, "Have you never read what David did when he and his companions were hungry? He entered the house of God, and taking the consecrated bread, he ate what is lawful only for priests to eat. And then he also gave some to his companions. Then Jesus said to them, 'The Son of Man is the Lord of the Sabbath.' And on another Sabbath, he went into the synagogue and was teaching, and a man was there whose right hand was shriveled." Which is, how unfortunate. The Pharisees and the teachers of the law were looking for a reason to accuse Jesus. Of course, because the salty always do. That's all jealousy right there. They're looking for a reason to stay in power. They are no longer seeking their Messiah, so they are not good little Jewish boys any longer. They are now Satan's minions. So they watch him closely to see if he would heal on the Sabbath. But Jesus knew what they were thinking and said to the man with the shriveled hand, "Get up and stand in front of everyone." So he got up and stood there. And then Jesus said to them, "I ask you, which is lawful on the Sabbath? To do good or to do evil? To save a life or to destroy it?" So now, you're not supposed to be doing any work on the Sabbath. So if you save a life, you're doing work. If you kill a life, if you kill somebody, you're doing work. Because you're not even allowed to do the things necessary to feed yourself. You have to have it all prepared. And you're only allowed to feed yourself from whatever you had that you could leave out that was leftovers the next day. Right? So, right. He's calling out their hypocrisy immediately, so they can't come back and accuse him later. Because then they have to, who are popular with the crowd, have to say, "No, we totally should say you should have left that man's hand the way it was, because it matters if it's this day or tomorrow." That's the letter, not the intention. Because you no longer have any compassion for the person that has to live that one more day in that pain. He looked around them at them all and then said to the man, "Stretch out your hand." He did so, and his hand was completely restored. They were furious and began to discuss with one another what they might do to Jesus. Right? Because they have to sneak, because they can't do it public, because they're worried about their public appearance. They're worried about their popularity. He doesn't give a crap about popularity. He wants you to have your head down doing the work with the intention that he gave you, with the divine work that he gave you to do in the first place. Because everybody does have a divine purpose. What yours is going to change from anybody else. It's going to be unique to you. So you can't just be trying to play follow the leader or trying to be running around grasping at, that pick-me energy. People who are worried about what other people think are in pick-me energy. They're in low energy vibration. There's woundings. They need to go heal. They're not, evil. They're hurt. And they need to heal. The 12 apostles, verse 12. One of those days, Jesus went out to the mountainside to pray, and he spent the night praying to God. When the morning came, he called his disciples to him, and he chose 12 disciples of them, whom he designated apostles. Simon, who he named Peter, his brother Andrew, James, John, Philip, Bartholomew, Matthew, Thomas, James, son of Alphaeus, Simon, who was called the Zealot, Judas, the son of James, and Judas Iscariot, who became the traitor. They love to remind everybody he became the traitor, because, for them, that is a wound that was never gonna heal for them. Because as far as they were concerned, this man is the reason that they don't have their Messiah. Right? Even though it's God's will, and they understand that, they were still human. That's why they all have to throw the shade. Because we all know that Judas betrays Jesus. But they're telling us before we've even gotten to there. So they're giving spoilers. Blessings and woes. He went down with them and stood on a level place. A large crowd of his disciples was over there, and a great number of people from all over Judea, from Jerusalem, and some from the coast of Tyre and Sidon, which play a very interesting role in the Old Testament about how God brings his people back, I have to say. Who had come to hear him and to be healed of their diseases. Those troubled by evil, or unclean in Greek, spirits were cured. And the people all tried to touch him because power was coming from him and healing them all. So he was radiating healing energy, and if you could just touch, you would be healed. Looking at his disciples, he said, "Blessed are you who are poor, and yours is the kingdom of God. Blessed are you who hunger now, for you will be satisfied. Blessed are you who weep now, for you will laugh. Blessed are you when men hate you, when they exclude you and insult you, and reject your name as evil because of the Son of Man. Rejoice in that day and leap for joy, because great is your reward in heaven. For that is how their fathers treated the prophets. But woe to you who are rich, for you have already received your comfort. Woe to you who are well fed now, for you will go hungry. Woe to you who laugh now, for you will mourn and weep. Woe to you when men speak well of you, for that is how their fathers treated the false prophets." So that is this is your friendly reminder, as we're wrapping up this video, that people who were actually working in the Temple of Solomon under the title, professionally trained title of prophets, because yes, it was a profession. Those people were never in alignment with God, really. They were false prophets working for Satan. That the Old Testament of the Bible is the prophets who never worked there. They tended to be like people out in the middle of nowhere. God chooses who he talks to. We can't command God to talk to us. Like, let alone pick a subject matter. We can ask God questions. And if he thinks that you need those answers to make the choice that I want you to make, he's going to give them to you. He expects unconditional trust. He gives unconditional love. So he expects unconditional trust. Which means if he wants you to know something, he'll tell you, or he'll send somebody to tell you. But he'll send them. You can ask him, pray to him for the assistance you need, and he will send them. And they will often come in the guise of looking like, a particular professional or another. You might find it as repeating, commercials or whatever. That's how he's telling you what expert you need. The repeating messages. Follow it, because you are meant to take the 3D thing. Meant to take the step then, because he gave you the information you asked for. So you can take that step you need. He gives you free will, so he cannot force you to take the step. You have to show him you're listening and take that step, that initiative on your own. You have to make your individual time for him to absorb what he's telling you and make the changes on your own in the 3D environment that you live in. Because he is not physically there. He's energy. He's there in the sense that he's energy. And he can be physically there in the sense that he's energy. But he isn't going to get up and clean your room for you. He's going to tell you to go clean your room. You follow? I hope. Until a few minutes from now, friends. Hello, friends, and welcome to Adventures in Pixieland. My name's Amy. I'm an ordained minister, and we're in Bible study. We're in the NIF. We're in Psalms, Book 2, Psalm 68. It's a long psalm, so we're doing verses 1 through 18 in this video. You'll have to come back tomorrow if you want to find out the rest. For the director of music, of David, a psalm, a song. May God arise. May his enemies be scattered. May his foes flee before him as smoke is blown away by the wind. May you blow them away as wax melts before the fire. May the wicked perish before God. But may the righteous be glad and rejoice before God. May they be happy and joyful. Sing to God. Sing praises to his name. Extol him who rides on the clouds. His name is the Lord, and I rejoice before him. A father to the fatherless, a defender of widows, is God in his holy dwelling. God sets the lonely in families. He leads forth the prisoners with singing. But the rebellious live in the sun-scorched land. When you went out before your people, O God, when you marched through the wasteland, the earth shook. Selah. The heavens poured down rain before God, the one of Sinai, before God, the God of Israel. You gave abundant showers, O God. You refreshed your weary inheritance. Your people settled in, and from your bounty, O God, you provided for the poor. The Lord announced the word, and great was the company of those who proclaimed it. Kings and armies flee in haste. In the camps men divide the plunder. Even while you sleep among the campfires, the wings of my dome are sheathed with silver, its feathers with shining gold. When the Almighty scattered the kings in the land, it was like snow fallen on Zalman. The mountains of Bashan are majestic mountains. Rugged are the mountains of Bashan. Why gaze in envy, O rugged mountains, at the mountain where God chooses to reign, where the Lord himself will dwell forever. The chariots of God are tens of thousands and thousands of thousands. The Lord has come from Sinai into his sanctuary. When you ascended on high, you led captives in your train. You received gifts from men, even from the rebellious, that you, O Lord God, might dwell there. Until the next video, friends.